Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Do me a favor, hit like, share, subscribe, and follow. Turn up your notifications so you're notified when we do drop videos or go live. Welcome back to Sharp Edge News TV. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to welcome a man of two powerful roles, publisher of SharpEdgeNewsTV.com and High Chief Odokwetu of Ayede Ogbese, Ondo State. Whether in the newsroom or in the kingdom, is always a sharp edge ahead. Give it up for the legend, Oladimeji Abitogun. Welcome, sir.
Ola, good to be back. And to our audience around the world, we want to express our sense of appreciation, our gratitude for allowing us into your various devices, and understand that we know that those are hallowed contraptions that really allow you and us to bond in a very positive way to affect the world in which we live for the better. And understand that each time you purpose, you join us on purpose this way so that we can have something to think about, to set an agenda on, not just for ourselves, but for the world in which we live, especially the way it affects our community, whether in the United States of America here or back on the continent of Africa, particularly in Nigeria. Understand that we do not take that opportunity, this kind of opportunity, for granted. That said, it's good to be back. Ola.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I'm sure that you have a very special set of specials for us today.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. So let's dive right into that.
Things are turning crazier and more interesting across the world. But on an interesting note, let us observe that the season of festivities have begun in different traditional communities in Africa, particularly in Nigeria. All over Nigeria, there is cause to show gratitude for one thing about nature or the other. And this season, you will understand that our Muslim brothers and sisters have just celebrated what is known in Nigeria as Ileya Festival. And to them, we say Barka de Salah. In Nigeria, the line can be very, very artificial between views, religions, and beliefs. Let me tell you, when those things become dividing wedges, understand that it will have political undertone. Nigerians get along, particularly in southwest Nigeria. Muslims join Christians to celebrate. Christians join Muslims to celebrate, and across this divide, sometimes you find them also bonding with traditional religious adherents. So the line is not quite too clear most times. But when you find people who love to promote divisive fundamentals, it becomes something else. Therefore, only yesterday, 3 days after the celebration of the Ileya Festival in southwest Nigeria, thousands of people, and some experts have said the number of people who converged on Ijebu, the traditional homestead of Ijebu people, southwest Nigeria, now in present-day Ogun State, would run to at least 1 million people. You find them demonstrating their circumstance with pomp and pageantry. Colorful horses draped in all kinds of ornaments, and then the Yoruba traditional ashoke was on parade in different shades and colors, celebrating an event that started way back in 1878 with the influence of one of the first major converts to Islam in Ijebuland, the late Balogun Kuku, the father of the present day Ogbeni Oja, of Ijebu land, in person of Chief Bayo Kuku. Chief Bayo Kuku, his title was Olorogun, but he got promoted to the exalted chieftaincy of Ogbeni Oja. And he settled the very successful industrialist and trader, the late Chief Adeola Odutola, was the Ogbeni Oja of Ijebu Ode. But today, that position is held by descendant of the first Balogun Musulumi of Ijebu Ode, Chief Bayo Kuku. And in 1978, what happened was that Balogun Kuku organized Islamic worshippers to go and pay homage, as some people would say, homage to the then Awujale of Ijebu land, in person of Oba Afidipo Temole. And that is what has passed on from generation to generation since 1878. Is an unbroken tradition up to today. You see, when people talk of stability as something alien to Africa, they miss the point. That is an element of stability right there. And when you look at the kind of corporate sponsorship that has poured in appreciation of this enduring festival among the Ijebus, the Yorubas, you would understand that Nigeria stands to make enormous money from tourism and culture. But it just doesn't happen like that. Look at the road that leads to Ijebu Ode today. Whether you are coming from southeastern Nigeria, or you are coming in from Lagos, or wherever you're coming from, until that consciousness is beginning to register in the administration in Nigeria, that road used to be a sorry situation. But thank God for the influence of the current governor of Ogun State, in person of Prince Dapo Abiodun. Honestly, people used to have all kinds of dances, all kinds of discomforting experiences riding into Ijebu Ode, but the roads are much better now, but things could still be better. And what else can we say about this year's Ojude Oba festival? That is celebration in which people stay in the outer courts of the King's Palace in Ijebu Ode to greet, after the Muslim festival and the festivities and all the whining and dining, to pay homage to Oba Sikiru Adetona, who got on the throne of his forefathers as the Awujale of Ijebu Ode in 1960. You see, 65 years going, this man is still very young on the throne. So when prayers are said to kings that they would live long and grow old like Okini, that is the sewing needle, that is that specter that they hold, the Irukere, would grow and they would outlive, or that would outlive them. It's a necessary prayer for everybody that craves longevity. And this man has spent such a good time. Only that we find something very interesting. The Minister of Culture and Tourism, please, next time, as a major front desk for Nigeria when it comes to that sector, you are attending an event, make sure you learn proper pronunciations. You don't go, it's so spiteful and disrespectful to go before your host and muddle up the title of their king the way the minister did yesterday. That was really, really too bad. And our congratulations to Mr. Farouk Eniagba, who, Oreagba, I take it back, Mr. Farouk Oreagba, who won the first prize in horse riding and the parade that was held yesterday, second year going. And this man flew in from outside Nigeria to be, so that shows the reach and the aura of the thing we are discussing. Beyond that, understand that around this season, all over Yoruba land, Nigeria, there is one thing or the other to celebrate and showcase. Just that issues of terrorism, banditry, kidnapping is beginning to, or are beginning to affect such spirit of community and celebrations all over Nigeria. How about Agogo Festival? How about the Doba all over northern Nigeria? How about the 8th grade celebrations in places in Igbo land and some other parts of Yoruba land? That said, we hope, like Bola Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, is promising that things will get better. And let us give kudos to the gallant men and women in uniform in Nigeria that are really pounding hard the different evil heads of covens and gangs of bandits, terrorists, and all kinds of evil kidnappers all over Nigeria now. They are smoking them out. And we do not want to give details, just that let us tell our audience that all these evil people are beginning to understand the power and the might of the Nigerian military. And all we can do at this point is to encourage them. And for everybody that thinks that this crisis situation is an opportunity to amass wealth, let us warn you about the danger of amassing blood money or blood wealth. If money is appropriated for the prosecution of this battle against evil people who are laying siege on Nigeria, make sure these things service the targeted interest and do not embezzle or defraud the public. Because each time you do that, you take money that is needed, resources that is needed from this, from the theater, you are endangering lives and properties. And every life counts in Nigeria. That is the first and major basic bill of right. Right to life, ownership of property. That said, who says that democracy is not under attack all over the world? In America today, state of California, without the constitutionally required requisite invitation from the governor of that state, asking for the president to bring in National Guard or military, President Donald Trump is again intensifying efforts at fostering authoritarian rule on America. And he is a bad example to every person that has always lifted the eyes upon the mountain, looking for inspiration and help from America. These are precarious times, and we hope the Congress in America will be up and doing. The judiciary too that has enabled and emboldened President Donald Trump to think that he cannot be challenged or that there can be no constitutional limit to him, must be up and doing at this moment. Otherwise, it is happening to people now. In order to stoke trouble, make sure that the people are daring, the protesters in California are daring, so that it can unleash the all and might of the country. But also look at the way people say it. No matter how fast evil travels, at some day righteousness would take off and overtake evil. Look at the unholy alliance, the strange cavorting between Donald Trump and his ideologue, Elon Musk. Where is it heading? We predicted all this. But on a final note on this special segment, let us warn about the danger of also destroying democracy in Nigeria. Otherwise, why would somebody like an experienced journalist like Mr. Dele Alake come out and begin to attack the quest of journalists for press freedom and then personalize instrument of... He is supposed to serve as Minister of State, as Minister of Solid Minerals in Nigeria. Nobody is taking it away from him that he's an experienced journalist and editor. But in power, he should understand that he's a former journalist. When he's out of power and he comes back to his profession, to his career as a journalist, we all will welcome him. But to go around and denigrate and spite people's genuine achievement, the way he's been speaking about Dr. Ruben Abati. I'm not a spokesperson for Dr. Ruben Abati. It's none of my business how the high and mighty in Nigeria fight themselves out. But again, there is a danger somewhere to say that it is wrong for journalists at the stable or on the stable of Arise TV to quest after press freedom. I've never had something that strange. And that is what is given effrontery and boldness, almost to the point of insolence to people like Mr. Larry Olayinka, the so-called spokesperson to the Minister of FCT, to get so quarrelsome and come on national television and denigrate all practicing professionals. Who told him that the fact that somebody read animal anatomy cannot also mean that the person will, further specialize to be a journalist? If you come to the United States, you see medical doctors who have acquired proper training and who are practicing as international journalists and giving opinions on diseases and all kinds of treatments on international media networks. I hope Mr. Larry Olayinka will be able to learn one thing or the other. The media, it is bad representation for the image of Nigeria for the spokesperson to the Minister of Federal Capital Territory to come on national television all the time fighting and picking quarrels and not knowing lines that will not be crossed. I hope a word will be enough for the wise. Finally, this week, we remember some big people and people that have impacted Nigeria, like the late Professor Jibril Aminu, who was Minister of Petroleum at the time, who had worked as Minister of Education, who really impacted the Nigerian space as a medical doctor that was trained by the first premier university in by the premier university in Nigeria, University of Ibadan. We pray that his soul will find peaceful rest in the bosom of his creator. Also, we remember former Chief Justice Wike, who impacted the space for 11 years when he was the Chief Judge of the Federation of Nigeria for 11 years. These are people that will not be easily forgotten. And for those who are running the show today, the question we're asking is that, are we doing things that will secure profound legacies that will make people to continue to remember us even when we are no more? That said, good to be back. Ola, thank you very much.
Welcome, sir. Welcome back. Welcome back. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. I was welcoming myself back. Anyway, thank you so much for that special. It's another packed one. I appreciate you for that one. All right, so do me a favor, everybody. We're about to jump into some of the trendy stories around the world. Hit like, share, subscribe, and follow right now. And yes, we have some trendy stories. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Let's talk about Mr. Amaechi and Wike. I don't know if it's his predecessor or post-predecessor, but anyway, there's a lot of back and forth going on between. I'm looking at the reports here on Guardian. It says nobody ever asked Wike how he made me governor. This is what Amaechi. This is a quote from him, I guess. But let me read this short excerpt, and then I want to hear your take on this, sir. Former Rivers State Governor Chibuike Rotimi Amaechi. Hold on one second. Okay, there we go. Rotimi Amaechi has dismissed claims by his Chibuike Amaechi has dismissed claims by his political rival and successor. Successor Nyesom Wike that he made him governor, challenging journalists and the public to interrogate the origins of that assertion. In a recent interview marking his 68th birthday, Amaechi said his emergence as governor in 2007 was the result of a judicial process and not political patronage. Nobody made me governor but God. Dr. Peter Odili and the Nigerian judiciary, he declared. Surprisingly, no journalist has ever asked that man that said he made me governor how he did it. Nobody has ever asked that question. Amaechi, who was elected governor, asked after a landmark Supreme Court ruling reinstated his candidacy despite being substituted before the 2007 elections, emphasized that the judiciary played the decisive role in the outcome. I went to court. Lateef Fagbemi was my lawyer. He's now the Attorney General of the Federation. Maybe you should ask him. The former governor also pushed back against another widespread narrative that he offered Wike the position of Commissioner for Finance in his administration. It is not true that I offer him the position, Amaechi said, adding that former Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Bello Adoke, had traveled to Port Harcourt to inform him of Wike's interest in that portfolio. And I said no, because he has to work under me. I wanted him as chief of staff so that I can supervise him, Amaechi stated. He dismissed suggestions that his decision was based on mistrust or rivalry. It means the governor supervising his staff. He said he made himself chief of staff. He made himself governor. He made himself minister. He made himself local government chairman. So end it there. Don't go further. All right, so I'm going to end it there and I will not go further. Tell us what you might know or remember about this.
Yeah, this excerpt that you are quoting from The Guardian actually was originally granted during prime time interview after all the rantings by the current FCT minister, Nyesom Wike. Remember last Monday's media chat with journalists in Abuja, where he said it was disgraceful for Chibuike Rotimi Amaechi to use the occasion of his 60th birthday to launch a tirade complaining about hunger, which he said was nothing other than hunger for power. Now, it was in that television media media interview that Chibuike Rotimi Amaechi had the opportunity of rebutting, of denying or pushing back against some of the things. But he was so reluctant about joining issues with Nyesom Wike. And he reminded his interviewer that part of the deal before coming on that show was that he was not going to talk about politics and all that. But it was irresistible for him to push back on claims, wild quote and unquote claims, often pushed.
I'm sorry, how can Mr. Amaechi come on the show and not talk about politics? Is that even possible?
Because, well, you respect the choices of your guests, otherwise you'll be a bad media host. If if there were requisite agreements, on what to touch on and what not to touch on. So it's not, it's no exception, but also it's not a core rule, but it is also good to respect pre-agreed terms of appearance on any.
I agree. It is good. If it was me, I would not respect it. Sorry.
But let me, before we continue on that trajectory, let me remind you that it's almost becoming a 1 week, one trouble concerning the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike. He already has laid out another trouble for himself and Nigeria as a nation this new week. Tomorrow, he intends to clamp down on 32 embassies in Abuja in the name of demanding grand rent. And from what experts have now said, this guy seems to have a knack for fishing in troubled waters. And what do they mean by that? He is not looking at the 1962 diplomatic convention signed in Vienna, saying that there are certain things you don't even do when it comes to international embassies and consulates. Now, going there to demand rent is almost like an illegality. It is not. It is not covered by any law to go and ask embassies in Nigeria, foreign embassies, for grand rent. And at this point, it is hoped that there will be interventions from the presidency, from the Foreign Affairs Ministry, and the office of the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation. So it looks like even when trouble they sleep, as Fela would put it, Wike's Nyangago, they wake up. He has a way for looking, he has his own way of manufacturing troubles and looking for trouble. I think that is his own political style, his own style of operation. He needs to stoke one trouble or the other to maintain relevance in the media and in the public. And I do not think that recommends it, because if he's allowed to do what he's doing now, remember, he has done it with his former boss, Chibuke Rotimi Amaechi. He's done it with Atiku Abubakar, with everybody, almost even now going to spite President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Remember him saying that he was not told. Almost implying, he did not say that, I can't lie about him, but it was implicit in his statement that probably the president ought to have consulted with him before declaring a state of emergency in Rivers State, before that action was taken. So he's beginning to take the trouble to Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself. But understand that no matter how theatrical Wike tries to put it, in whichever way he puts it, he is suspected of being the one that supplied President Bola Ahmed Tinubu outrightly false intelligence that led to the current political contraction in Rivers State. That said, the boss bash between Chibuke Rotimi Amaechi and his former political surrogate, that is his former chief of staff, is beginning to climax. Is getting to a point of resolution. And that resolution is such that at least Amaechi has taken his leave from the public space. The only complaint he has now is that with their coalition that they are putting together, they have tested the waters, and it looks like, because from that same interview, he made that disclosure that INEC is not willing to register new political parties, which the late Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Uwais, wrote extensively about, made an opinion about, on why Nigeria must be a multi-party state. And political scientists before now, particularly experienced politicians like Obafemi Awolowo, had that position, that for a multilingual, multicultural, and multi-ethnic society like Nigeria, it has become almost indispensable to have federalism and multi-party system. So that is why I'm saying this is almost, coming to a resolution that Amaechi is minding his business. But at what time would President Bola Ahmed Tinubu be able to put, at what time would he be able to put Jesse Wike in his proper place? Because it is because he has all this federal support. That is why he and his political attack machine, Lerola Inka, that's why they are everywhere calling people names. And no politician has ever behaved so recklessly the way Jesse Wike has taken the Nigerian space, the Nigerian political space lately. It's unprecedented. People, yes, there will be all kinds of rough rides in politics in Nigeria. But this current standard set by Wike is almost unprecedented. And that is why I said, I mean, tonight on Seun Okinbaloye's show, when Segun Showunmi, the former spokesperson to former Vice President Atiku, I mean, he was spokesperson to him when Iran, as the presidential candidate of PDP. Segun Showunmi visited President Bola Ahmed Tinubu last night or yesterday in Lagos. In spite of all the criticisms and the denunciatory statements that is made about Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the recent past,
I mean, that's politics.
Everybody was curious, why did he go there? And I was looking, he was going to hint on what he asked or what he told, what he and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu discussed yesterday concerning Nyesom Wike. That discussion did not go as far. And I'm looking forward to Chief Segun Showunmi coming to tell Nigerians the opinion of Bola Tinubu on why he will continue to abhor and protect a nuisance like Wike in his administration. That said, there are vistas of hope for Nigeria. It's not all the time that you would have roughnecks and ruffians calling the shots politically in the country. The beautiful ones will soon pop up and they will do wonders and make sure that Nigeria can stand tall in the Committee of Nations. At least, Nigeria has an opportunity to correct what it has missed in the first 65 years of its nationhood. Wherever individuals like Donald Trump seems to be, individuals like Donald Trump seem to be fortunate at the moment, Nigeria can seize that occasion and say, no, we can fill the space. There is something exceptional about us. There's something peculiar and unique about us. In this country, we can provide leadership where there seems to be a vacuum. And that is what I expect to happen at this moment. So we must look beyond the bars between Wike or Basbos, between Wike, who never, yes, he is so self-conceited and selfish. It's almost like the subject that we used to treat in in a course like The Rise of English Novel. How a gentleman will come on the scene and will declare himself as self-made, will be so snobbish and would see himself as a noble rich, newly arrived on the scene, as somebody who owes no gratitude to anybody on how he has just made this wealth. They are always so proud, and everybody in the society looks at them with some pity, but they are not able to self-defecate and examine themselves. So that is the kind of character you have in Nyesom Wike, at least where Amaechi is asking, or is nudging all of us, ask him how exactly he made him the governor of Rivers State. You have seen the difference between these two personalities. Chibuke, Rotimi Amaechi, is grateful to God, his predecessor in office, Dr. Peter Odili, and the Supreme Court in Nigeria for making him governor. But Nyesom Wike has never been mentored by everybody, or by anybody. He owes no gratitude to anybody. Don't be surprised if tomorrow he says that, he knew it all, and that was how he became FCT minister. No thanks to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That's all I can say about this person and this fight, or this public argument between the two of them.
All right. Thank you so much. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. Let us know your thoughts about that. Join the conversation. We'll be right back with some other trendy stories around the world. All right. So this past weekend, we experienced the worst breakup in the history of mankind. I'm not sure if it's the worst breakup or what you should call
So,
it.
if you say it's the worst breakup in the history of mankind, or like, how would you describe the breakup between Jesus Christ and Judas Iscariot?
Oh my God. I don't know how to describe this one, but before we
Or
get
the
into it,
one, or the one that happened at Gethsemane between the first man or the first family and God, who created them in that garden. So there have been breakups, but this one is quite peculiar. That's what you
yeah.
would say.
Okay, all right, we shall see. But anyway, we're talking in the presence of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. But before
That's
we get
right.
into that, actually, as we are speaking right now, there is some type of riot, something like that, going on
Yes, Los
in
Angeles, California.
Los Angeles. So I'm gonna play this short video, and this is Los Angeles within this last few hours. I don't know what's going on there. Let's see. I think it's loading or something like that. Yeah. So this is going on. This was going on the past few hours in Los Angeles. I think LA downtown has been declared illegal for any type of public gathering as we speak right now. So that's what's going on. They're burning cars, all kind of stuff going on. So
Yes.
yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna mute it so you can speak to that. Yeah, go ahead. You can speak.
Yes. Remember in our special segment in our introduction, I hinted on the current situation in Los Angeles, in which residents of the state of California came out to protest the way in which immigrants are being seized in the open and being thrown into detention facilities, and some of them, without warning, being deported. That is the prelude to the situation that you have now. And just because the state, states controlled by Democrats, are not on board with Donald Trump on the extreme immigration agenda, seizing immigrants, deporting them. Initially, it was thought that, this would only be affecting people with criminal record. But it's obvious now that this is something that is born out of outright agenda for some political fundamentalism and extremism, not wanting to see any other person, any other race, other than just one situation here. And it's almost like why you can have two alphas. There won't be two masters controlling the same boat, the Elon Musk and Donald Trump thing. So just because Democrats are pushing back, they are pushing against all this clampdown on immigrants that really violates due process. That is why, constitutionally, it's expected that Donald Trump can do certain things. But that it has never been this extreme in the history of America until the Supreme Court justices emboldened him. And if in the future this moment will be recorded in history, these people, the justices of the Supreme Court in the United States will have their own fair portion of the blames. There will be blames to go around, including journalists who made it their business to always amplify the shenanigans and outright breaches of the current leadership. There will be enough blames to go around. And so, without recourse, it is the governor of California that will say that, this is the situation on the ground now. Remember 1965, during the civil rights years, when things were getting out of hand in places like Alabama and Mississippi. It was, and when there was the ruling to desegregate schools, and black students or colored students had to be escorted to classrooms that had been desegregated, and there were siege and ambushes to harm those innocent souls, those innocent children. That was when governors had to call on Lyndon Johnson, the then president of the United States, to send the National Guard. Not minding the precedents concerning this, Donald Trump did not wait for the governor of the state of California to send for him. He just he arrogated so much power to himself, which is what we're saying about political fascism, and then decided to send in National Guards there. Now we fear that we won't have a situation that is similar to, because if anybody is saying, oh, things that used to happen that were beneath decent conduct could only happen in developing countries, like, say, while protesters wrapped themselves up with Nigerian national flag and they were shot at Lekki toll gate during the NSAS riot. If people were thinking that, oh, it could only happen in places like Nigeria, now you know that it can happen anywhere. At least we pray that there is no casualty, because it would be strange to find American military using guns and firearms paid for by us taxpayers to turn them against fellow American citizens. It is unprecedented, and if it is happening, that in itself will be a defining moment about America's democracy and about the current Donald Trump's leadership. Going forward, you will notice that even as this protest in California was ongoing, congressmen and women have come to have access to detention facilities, to jail houses where immigrants are being held, where protesters are being held. And it is part of their constitutional duty, part of their rights, oversight function, to check on those prison facilities, those detention facilities, to see how these people are faring. These members of Congress are being disallowed from seeing or having entry into the detention facilities in Los Angeles as you and I speak. Even when attorneys, lawyers try to hold brief for their clients and they want to access the facilities, they are being disallowed. This is why I said these are strange times and everybody should just watch out. It's happening to some people now. The question is, when would it be my turn? When would it be your turn? When would everybody be served this breakfast? And finally, we come back to Elon Musk and Donald Trump himself, the one you have called the unprecedented breakup of all ages. Mm-hmm. Ask me whatever you want to ask me about that. But it was long in the making. It was long in the making. But let me tell you, Elon Musk is overrating himself. You don't take on the power of state the way he is.
I think you should. I think you should listen to this video, sir. I'm going to play a short video for you so you can listen. This is Elon Musk father saying something about it.
Bring it on.
Elon is standing on principles. He wants to cut the budget into a situation that they save money instead of waste or spend more money than they have. And he was told that his role would be just that. But when he was presented with a budget that in no way represented savings, he stood by his principles and said, I'm not prepared to support this. This is wrong. And so therefore I stand by my son. I think people, by nature, it's argumentative. I mean, that's the nature of politics. That's what the word means. Politics is to talk and argue. So that's what they've been doing. These days, of course, it goes out into the press and, it gets exaggerated or in some cases made worse than it really is. But it is a bit of a knot that's occurred in the flow of.
I mean, so my question for you Is it really that simple? Well, we just
Yeah, I think yeah, with due respect, I have to respect the older Musk, that is Elon Musk, but he
the
seems
father.
to, yes, it seems to have a simplistic view of what is playing at the moment, particularly when Elon Musk's arch rival in the Donald Trump's political family, somebody like Steve Bannon and the MAGAs, when they are suggesting to Donald Trump that he should go after core contracts of Elon Musk at SpaceX, take it over with. I mean, this was suggested this weekend that before midnight, Donald Trump should do that. That is to put the hard squeeze on the business or the financial interest of Elon Musk. And then when you had Steve Bannon also promoting or speculating around the what's it called, citizenship status of Elon Musk, particularly if he was in breach of immigration rules originally, and that his citizenship be revoked and that he should be deported. You know that you would understand that Elon Musk's dad does not seem to understand. Or those things are de-escalating between them as of now, but you know that the first rule about Donald Trump is almost like the rule of the mob.
Yes, sir.
The Khan family.
He can never trust. He can never trust him again. I doubt.
Loyalty must be total. And now that Elon Musk came out barely 24 hours after he left DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, and he's spewing out so much and crowing and spilling,
including his legacy, his reputation, Epstein, all this craziness.
Look at how much he lost within 2-3 days.
I think like $37 billion or so.
And he's still bleeding, he's still hemorrhaging financially. These people will go for the kill. You see, this is why I said he overrated himself. Yes, he tweeted or he X'd, because after he bought Twitter, he changed the name to X. So he was able to reach 192 million people when he sent out his disclosures about, because something slanderous. We don't want to repeat that. We don't want to defame anybody, because he was almost hinting at the fact that Donald Trump probably was into pedophilia. But
yes,
beyond that is the fact that when Donald Trump decided to reply him through his what's it called, Truth network handle, he was only able to reach about 197,000 people.
Let me say this, so we can round up this session. I don't think to Donald Trump, I think the worst thing you can say to him, I know you said the PDF thing and all that, that's cute. The worst thing you can say to Donald Trump is that you made him.
Yes, because this is why I said Elon Musk has overrated himself. He has money. Donald Trump has political power and is the president of the United States of America. Probably he should have waited for the man to serve out his term.
It's 4 years.
Before he declared this rebellion, so to say. And honestly, it's going to be blooded too badly. It's going to be blooded too badly. So
we'll be here
this
watching.
Is why I said it's the matter. I mean, it's an issue of two alphas. This struggle, who blinks first, and already you see that Elon Musk is already blinking. And God save him. The only thing that can be, that can afford him some sanctuary is that he has, what's it called? Tripartite citizenship. He's a citizen of the United States of America, is a citizen of Canada and South Africa. But do not also forget that it will be difficult for him to return to South Africa with all the false and outright silly intelligence supplied against the legitimate government of that country.
Yeah.
it will be difficult for him to return there. And then will Canada be able to even trust him with what he has done in the United States?
Yes.
So
yes.
these are worrying moments for him. I think he needs to begin to show concern about his immediate future.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's just round that up right there. But it'll be interesting to watch. Join the conversation, everybody, in the comment section. Join the conversation. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. And we have other trendy stories around the world. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Pressure mounts on Tinubu over Fubara's reinstatement. I'm looking at a report on Vanguard Nigeria. Says June 12th pardon. Jonathan, others pile pressure on Tinubu to reinstate Fubara. Former President Goodluck Jonathan is among eminent Nigerians said to be making a case for suspended Governor Sim Fubara of Rivers State behind the scenes to be returned to his position on or before June 12th. Jonathan, according to sources, has engaged President Bola Tinubu in at least one telephone conversation on the need to reinstate the suspended governor on or before June 12th in the spirit of Democracy Day. The president will, according to tradition, address the nation in a broadcast on June 12th. Tinubu had on March 18 suspended Fubara from office for 6 months. But many people describe the action as unconstitutional, as according to them, there is no part of the Constitution which empowers the president to suspend or remove an elected governor in the event that emergency rule imposition becomes inevitable in any part of the country. The critics cite Section 305, which provides for emergency rule without the suspension or removal of an elected governor. They also refer to Section 188, which vests the removal of elected officials solely on the State House of Assembly. Nevertheless, Tinubu slammed 6 months suspension on Fubara while also applying the same punishment on his deputy and members of the State House of Assembly, most of whom were loyal at Fubara's predecessor, Nyesom Wike, incumbent minister of the Federal Capital Territory, and who lawmakers had commenced the impeachment process against Fubara. The suspension was the climax of the fight between Fubara and Wike over the control of the People's Democratic Party in Rivers State and appointments into key positions in government. It had been speculated that Tinubu could lift the suspension on May 29 when the nation celebrated the second anniversary of his administration. But as that did not happen, many people are banking on June 12th reinstatement. Anyway, so what do you think, sir? Is this possible? Is this speculation possibility? Also, I don't know. My thoughts about this is that they're trying to I don't know if it's make him a scapegoat or send a message to everybody else that might tafili. They don't want to be so easy that they could just talk them into. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts about this? Let's get this done.
Yeah, I hope to make this very short. See, the truth of the matter is that it's not a new thing to see people that are elected into the presidency in many countries behaving as if they have the power of life and death, and which is not. I mean, even look at the word it's a president. It only means that you are just first among probably equals or your peers. So it's so strange when you see people arrogating so much power to themselves and then feeling of impotence and impudence, so much so that they trample on. I do not like using the term subnational, and you really cannot talk of states in Nigeria in the strict sense of the word federating units. It's almost the Nigerian project is work in progress. I think we will get to that point where there will be some kind of national conference where delegates and notable stakeholders will be able to negotiate terms on behalf of the larger society and citizenry on whether we can describe our states and local governments as federating units. That said, you have seen in the United States the example that we have cited about Donald Trump wanting to behave almost doing the same thing that Tinubu has attempted with Rivers State. And that goes to the heart of the matter that, okay, they wanted Fubara, similarly Fubara, to stoop low in order to conquer at some point. And you saw him, he's been one of the pilgrims who have visited Bodilon Street, Ikoyi, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is presently on holidays for the Salah celebration. And the curiosity of everybody is that, is there a sort of prayer on Fubara to decamp from PDP into APC? If he goes into APC, would he still have that kind of leverage that was expected of him initially? Is he going to go there ahead of his political tormentors who are known as legislators in Rivers State at the moment? Is he going to go into that? What are the terms of negotiations with Bola Ahmed Tinubu? But part of the feelers we got, and I do not really think this holds complete factuality. I can't say that, but part of the speculation we're hearing is that ahead of this June 12th declaration or expected declaration from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is that the sole administrator in Rivers State is being asked to begin to unwind. But do not forget that that man went there with the usual military mentality of occupation. He's been spreading his tentacles and behaving and even parading his spouse as the first lady of the state. His mandate shouldn't have extended to that. If ab initio, his role there, his presence there, is supposed to be seen as unlawful and illegitimate. But in a society or in a situation in which everybody seems to think that illegality is a short route to guarantee legality, what do we expect? So what we can do in this situation is to fold our arms, let June 12 come. If he is able to do what is needful, we would say, oh, okay, all these speculations were okay. But if it's not, we expect what should happen at the end of 6 months. That's all I can say at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have a question. Let's round up with this question, maybe an answer to this question, right? The judicial and executive branches of the government, are they entirely independent of each other? Because it almost seems like I've seen even personal friends quote that, and they said, we were in an argument the other day about the Natasha story, and some guy was just like, one of my friends was like, the judicial, because we're talking about there was a court order, right, to not continue with the suspension or whatever hearing they were trying to do on that first day when the uproar happened in the Senate chambers. And he was like, well, the legislature or the legislative arm is completely independent of the judicial. They can do whatever they want. How far is that truth? Is that to some extent at all?
ABC of government, political science, civics, and law will tell you that they are supposed to be autonomous, co-equals. They are supposed to be independent, co-equals, but that is only idealistic. They are never, ever completely independent of each other. it is always work in progress to make sure that there is total autonomy for each arm of the government. That is the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. But you won't ever have them being completely independent of each other. Even these parliamentary or cabinet system of government that Nigerians love to romanticize about as something that really worked magic in the First Republic. It never worked any magic in the First Republic, 1960 to 1966 in Nigeria. You always find out that there would always be a way of trying to co-opt and make either the legislature or the judiciary an extension of the executive arm of the government. This is so simple a thing or a situation to explain. But what do you expect? Where people are being pressured, are being given subtle incentives and blackmail to cross from their political parties right within the hallowed chambers of the National Assembly for the ruling party. So, and you find the head of the legislature in Nigeria declaring openly that they would always have unscrutinized person for whatever bills is coming from the president. And look at the instrument of appointment and the processes of, of appointing justices to the Nigerian judiciary. Look at merchant attorneys and lawyers in the system. So it is just a utopia, a mirage to think that they all will be fully independent.
Completely independent. Right.
It will not happen. Not even in America here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because in America here, I'm reading an excerpt right now. It says they're not entirely independent of each other, but rather operate within a system of checks and balances. At the very minimum, there are at least checks and balances.
Yes, but even then, where are those checks and balances when the Supreme Court had most of its members nominated by, along political lines? And then when the vice president of the because we used to really held up the American presidential system of government as the model. But when I got here and understanding the system, I even find out that the vice president of the United States presides over the United States Senate. So you see the systemic link there.
So they're dependent.
They won't be complete. They are supposedly
they are fundamentally dependent on each other.
Systemically linked.
Systemically, right?
Yeah,
right.
They won't be completely independent of each other or totally independent of each other.
Right. Okay, all right, that makes sense. Thank you everybody for being a part of the show. Let me do a quick shout out to people who came by, who stopped by in the chat. Of course, shout out to Miss Elizabeth Omotayo. She said, welcome to this week edition. Shout out to Blossom Show. Said our culture, our heritage, Ojudeoba festival was loud. Natu says greetings. Mario said this is a lot of destruction. Him and his son should go away. She's talking about Elon Musk. And then she said she said this fight is fake anyway. That's all we have for you today.
If it's fake, understand the amount of money that has been lost. To me, it looks real. It's not fake. Just that they didn't know that. Yes. And like I've always cautioned us, when you see them attack media, when you see them pretend like they want to cut costs in government, there must be something in it for them. Look at what the disclosures we are getting now. That Elon Musk is really angry because it's not getting protected in the old budgetary proposals. Yeah. So, I'm
going to leave us with this because of so much at stake. Something can be so fake it becomes real, and some things can be so real it becomes fake. Yes. There's a lot at stake. There's a lot of real things at stake, at least.
Yes, politics to some extent is almost like the game of, the science of optic illusion that is called magic. The more
Yeah.
you look, the less you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, hit the like button, share, subscribe, and follow. Turn up your notifications. We'll be back here next week as usual. Thank you. God bless. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.